Mount Hagen Hospital staff submit resignations. Police want help to pursue gender-based violence. And NSL Champions thumped in OFC Open.
This is National EMTV News with Mary Bartolo.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for Sunday's news. Over 400 staff of the Mount Hagen General Hospital in Western Highlands Province have handed in their resignations on Friday. This includes medical doctors, nurses and other clinical staff. The resignations will take effect 2 weeks from now, which means all services will come to a complete stop. The 30-day ultimatum to the National Health Minister, Michael Malabag, lapsed on Friday.
Resignation includes 30 doctors, more than 200 nurses, community health workers and allied health workers. These are members of 4 separate union bodies combined in this crisis. The resignation will take effect in 2 weeks' time. However, all services at the hospital have scaled down. Members of these unions will not be available for outpatients, elective care, consultations, clinics and non-life-threatening emergencies. They are giving the management and board 2 weeks grace period to find appropriate trained officers to fill in the gap. They have taken this approach because they are not happy with the process of the petition. They are blaming the health minister for this mass resignation.
They will instruct the PH Western Highlands provincial authorities to stop any spendings until, apart from the operational spending, other infrastructure and other things has to be stopped until the investigation over, and this has not been seen yet. And need to be recruited and employed in this facility. Within these 2 weeks' time, we are also in the process to call our other colleagues in other hospitals where we are asking for any positions that are vacant to be taken up by the resigning officers who are here currently. So that's the plan for the next 2 weeks.
Mount Hagen Hospital Acting CEO Dr. James Kintwa says the board and management will decide on the next course of action after receiving the resignation letters.
The options of how we want to deal with the resignation. We are not sure whether it's a resignation from all the doctors or from some doctors, from nurses, we don't know. So when the resignations do come, we then have an idea of.
Dr. Kintwa is condemning this action taken by the staff, saying that they should allow for the investigations to finalize a report before taking further action.
The team is in fact here this week. All the staff, including the doctors, the board and the management have attended to the investigations requirements in meeting with the investigation team. And we are waiting for the investigation's report.
However, the doctors and other health workers are questioning the independence of this investigation team. Michelle Amba, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
A one-week workshop was completed recently to survey the current status of health services in Gulf Province and how to improve them. Gulf Deputy Provincial Administrator Emmanuel Xavier said the results of the survey must not be taken lightly by public servants within the province. Mr. Xavier said everyone is responsible to improve the poor health standards in the province. The workshop was attended by 129 health workers and managers from throughout Gulf Province. The workshop was facilitated by chief medical doctors from the National Health Department and supported by the Oil Search Foundation. Sir Julius Chan is seriously concerned on how the country is being run and the current state of the economy. In his book, Playing the Game, he touches on the game of politics and how the current government, according to him, has forgotten its rules and at worst, its purpose.
In his book, Sir Julius gives his opinion on how the current government is running the country. He says that a country's wealth is not measured by the GDP, but by the well-being and the prosperity of the citizens.
Only one thing, the well-being, the health, security, and prosperity of the people of our country.
He writes that he is seriously concerned about the state of the country at the moment and that it seems that politicians have forgotten the rule of the game, but even worse, the true purpose of the game.
playing the game for the people. Instead, we're playing for the privileged and the powerful.
Sir Julius says that the government should be conservative with its future spending.
But this is exactly what we have done repeatedly in recent history. As major new resource projects came on the horizon, we began spending money as if it was already in the bank.
At the end of his book, he says that he hoped PNG would take seriously that sustainable development and investing in agriculture was the way forward. Opposition leader Don Pollier, who officiated his book, agreed.
We need to skill our citizens to develop agriculture and our natural resources.
Adelaide Sirox Kari, National, MTV News.
The Waigani Supreme Court has rejected stay orders filed by the Morobe Provincial Physical Planning Board against Money Talks Limited over land development at Lays Independence Park. The court rejected the application on grounds that Money Talks Limited followed due process in acquiring the land title.
In another court ruling yesterday, the Waigani Supreme Court bench has reaffirmed a previous court decision by rejecting the stay application filed against Money Talks Limited over Lays Independence Park. The court held that Money Talks Limited has followed legal processes in acquiring the land titles previously a public recreational situated at Section 2, Allotment 67 in the above Lays Industrial Area.
Supreme Court orders of yesterday was basically to reviews the application by the first, second, and third respondent.
Money Talks Limited, a nationally owned company, obtained the land title from the Lands Department after developing it for over 20 years. Money Talks Limited Managing Director Matthew Minape said on 16th of October 2014, the company received stop work and demolition notices from the first and second respondents, Morobe Provincial Physical Planning Board and Morobe Provincial Government. On 8th of April 2015, the matter was brought before the Supreme Court and orders were granted, thus allowing Money Talks Limited to proceed with its development.
We had a title and we had went to all the legitimate authority or legitimate due process.
In a similar note yesterday, the Supreme Court three-man bench rejected the restraining orders filed by the respondents and affirmed the orders granted in the previous court ruling. Eric Arupma, National MTV News.
You're watching National MTV News. Ahead in the news, calls to support police in cases of gender-based violence. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill disappointed with media report and graduates challenged to develop PNG. Stay with us. Welcome back to National MTV News. The Police Criminal Investigation Division has called on all stakeholders to support the work of police to address gender-based violence. They say families must also be more supportive and help victims who wish to pursue cases of family violence.
The Criminal Investigation Division have commended the family of Monica Nagy for cooperating with police investigations and for not taking the law into their own hands and allowing justice to take its course.
For Monica's case, we are happy to get on with the job because the family and the victim herself, they're very cooperative with us. They're giving us what we want and, they're making our job easy. So, in that regard, we are seeing that, we have a good case. So, because the family wanted the case to go this way, we have to give them that full support and, at the end of the day, we have to find a good result out of the case. So.
Police say that in many instances, the practice of compensation and the lack of support shown towards victims by their families cause victims to drop charges made against perpetrators.
For example, like say, if a woman is a victim of that crime, and if she wants to come and report it to police, the relatives will come in and try to suppress her and take the matter out of court, and they'll try and settle it within the family level and all these things. So most cases we face this type of problem. And if family supports you to pursue the matter through, then you will pursue the matter through and we see good results.
Family violence is widespread and police say that a combined effort by all stakeholders is needed to address the escalating levels of violence in the country.
To approach this type of problem, it's not only police business. Every stakeholder must take ownership of it. And if we all work together, I think we can try and manage and control this. But if we want to leave it to police alone, I don't think we'll find a solution to the problem.
Sasha Pesilovo, National EMTV News.
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill has described a news report in one of the dailies this week as biased. The report, Pacific Funding Wrong, was about the national government financially supporting other Pacific countries. Mr. O'Neill says such reports have to be balanced and has called for an apology from this particular media organization.
The Prime Minister's response was directed to the 8th paragraph of the article, where it poses the question of why the national government was assisting other Pacific nations when Papua New Guinea is also facing food shortages in parts of the country.
A bit misleading and unnecessary for editorial comments to be politically biased. The issue of calling our government irresponsible for investing funds into, making commitment of funds into the South Pacific nations.
PM O'Neill clarified that the paragraph stating the announcement he made in Parliament last week on giving 21 million kina to other Pacific countries was not a new funding. He says that the money was budgeted for over the years.
Get your facts right before you publish an editorial of such standing and make comments of such nature, especially saying that we're making a new commitment of 21 million. We know the challenges that we have in our country. These are funds over many years.
While the article is about the lack of government services into some rural areas in Papua New Guinea, it also states the shortage of food in governmental institutions, particularly the correctional centers and those areas affected by El Nino. The article suggests a proper review to be conducted on the impact of government funding. O'Neill said the article was incorrectly written and demanded an apology from the chief editor. Thakla Gunga, National EMTV News.
People have the power to build a nation. This was the message from Sports Minister Justin Chechenko to the recent graduating students of the University of Papua New Guinea. While many professionals do not deliver their services because of their unwillingness, Chechenko says obtaining a job is a challenge.
Mr. Chechenko addressed the law and medical graduates to make responsible decisions in the fields. He added that while the fields will get them a good income, job hunting is difficult with many professionals in a field where no one wants to start from the bottom.
We can't be millionaires overnight, and I know your professions do have high price tags when it comes to consultancy fees and what have you as lawyers and as doctors. But we really have to look at how we can give something back and how we can enrich our lives ourselves.
UPNG Pro Vice Chancellor Vincent Malaibe encouraged graduates to work in an environment that is constantly changing. EMTV caught up with some of the graduates to ask them of their plans after university. Some have secured jobs, others have applied, some yet to apply, while others are planning to continue studies for higher education. They also share their experiences and challenges faced at the tertiary level of education.
For the past 4 years, it's been a challenge for us here at the campus, and especially for us, those who cannot accommodate or secure a room for us. So we have to bunk up with boys, planning and taking a few courses after this. But before that, I'm taking teaching some secondary school students.
Applying out for to companies, we put papers and just waiting for it.
Marilyn Diaukatam, National EMTV News.
You're watching National EMTV News. Trukai Sports is next. All the details after the break.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Telecom National Soccer League champions Ley City Dwellers played their first match today in the OFC Champions League against 2014 runner-up Amical FC. Dwellers went down to Amical 3-0 in an entertaining match in Auckland, New Zealand.
The pace of the match was frantic from the start as dwellers looked to assert themselves over their opponents early. Amical would open the scoring through Adam Dixon in the 28th minute.
There's a miscue, Dickinson with a chance. Oh, and he scores! Amical in front.
Dixon would further the lead for the team from Vanuatu with a clear shot at goal.
The back of the net. Flag is up though.
Dwellers pressured Amical's defence early in the second half, with captain Raymond Gunemba and striker Nigel Davinyaba attempting shots at goal.
Of Troy Ganemba and eventually
Obed Bika received a yellow card after a dirty tackle on Amical's defender.
And a clear foul by Bataki on.
The last goal of the match came from Amical import Diego Nadaya from Argentina.
Shooting position and he scores. It's a wonderful.
This would see the match come to an end with Amical FC coming out victorious 3-0 over Lay City Dwellers. Elijah Levet, National MTV Sports.
To rugby, and the SPPNG Hunters had a narrow 11-10 victory over the Townsville Blackhawks after a field goal from Ase Boas. Boas kicked the field goal with 14 seconds to spare after the score was levelled at 10-all. Edem Korave made the breakthrough for the Hunters, scoring 17 minutes into the game to put the Hunters in front 6-0 after a successful conversion from captain Noel Zemming. The Hunters were behind at half-time, 10-6, but got back on track after a try from Justin Olam, 16 minutes to full-time, to level the score. And that ends Trukai Sports. We'll be back with all the weather details for the next 24 hours after the break.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
Taking a look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours, we begin in the southern region. Fine weather expected all across the region. To Momase, mostly fine in Lewau and Madang, and fine weather in Wewak and Vanimo. To the New Guinea Islands region, mostly fine across the region. And Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabeg, fine with morning fog. And that's the news, sports and weather for today, Sunday the 10th of April 2016. From the MTV News team, have a pleasant working week. Good night.